Thank you for staying with us. We've been talking about this issue, corruption. And, well, what the president said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. You remember that President Muhammadu Buhari was in the United States of America, and he met with President Barack Obama. They met with some other people in America, and some of those things that were discussed was on the issue of corruption and how Nigeria can recover those stolen funds. In this very next report, I'll tell you exactly what went down and some of the things that were reviewed in the United States. Take a listen. Controversial is the pay of National Assembly lawmakers.
We must cut our pay, our remuneration, our salaries and allowances as a mark of honor.
Fight against corruption was top on the agenda of the APC when the party was seeking power. The stance of the presidential candidate then was well known, and he did not mince words on the matter. He said,
"If we don't kill corruption in this country, corruption will kill Nigeria."
Nigerian stolen funds flown out are said to be in billions of dollars. The mind of President Buhari is on how to get much of those funds back home, and this is one of the issues he took up with the American president. But what is President Obama's take on this?
Looking forward to discussing how we can be helpful in addressing some of the corruption issues that have held Nigeria back and unleashing the incredible talent of the Nigerian people. We all recognize that some of the best business people in the world are from Nigeria, and they thrive as they travel to other countries, but we want to make sure that they're also helping folks thrive in Nigeria.
The rate of corruption in Nigeria has become terrific, a sort of culture it has become, President Buhari says.
Corruption in Nigeria has virtually been developed into a culture. When people are honest and serious, people will be abusing them, that they don't know what they are doing. For example, Nigerian crude is stolen at the rate of more than 250,000 barrels a day.
The president, while promising to stage a strong fight against the vampire court corruption, he made some striking revelations.
The amount of money is mind-boggling, but we have started getting documents. We started getting documents where some of the senior people in government, former ministers, some of them float as much as 5 accounts and were moving about 1 million barrels a day on their own. We have started getting those documents.
With his reserve, is the president ready to prosecute anyone, even if it happens to be one of his close political allies?
I just have to. There isn't going to be any party member or any personality that can escape justice.
Beyond the revelations, actions to show just how serious the Buhari government is on fighting corruption perhaps will be the next stage to look out for. Well, thank you. Well, that's the right one there. We're trying to get to just exactly the right report so that you can get to what we're talking about. That's a meeting with President Buhari in the United States when he met with a lot of people. Well, Mr. Kechukwu Ikeji, a legal practitioner, has since joined us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And also, Dafe Akpede, a senior advocate of Nigeria, joins us via Skype from Warri in Delta State, in the comfort of his home. Thank you so much, Mr. Akpede, for joining us. Warri is in Nigeria's South region. Well, let me start with you, Mr. Akpede. Give us your thoughts about the anti-corruption fight. The PDP believe that it is selective. Do you think so? In the sight of the law, so far, the kind of people that have been prosecuted or the kind of people that have been investigated, do they look like it's one-sided?
Well, what you can gather from all that's been happening, I think it was West Dausa that aptly put it. The people that were in charge in the last couple of years happen to be a PDP government. So ostensibly, it will give the impression that a lot of them are being prosecuted over and above the other members of the APC as it were. If you take it, the PDP was in charge of most of the states and indeed the federal government. I think it's still too early to call that this process is vindictive. The truth about it is that you need to have access to be able to have corruption. And PDP being in government in place obviously had more access. So obviously it might look lopsided, but I think it's too early to make that call that is being vindictive.
Interesting. Mr. Keji, tell me, the kind of people, PDP has said, look, the kind of people is clearly shown that this, is one-sided. You think so?
It's a perception thing. It may not be the real point on ground, but the perception.
It looks so.
It looks so. And when it looks so, it goes far. And that is why it is important that the present president takes extra effort, makes extra effort to ensure that even those who are close to him, who have any form of questions whatsoever, howsoever, are investigated and brought to the knowledge of the public. It is very key because it will be so easy for people to say that he is being vindictive against his perceived political enemies, even though it may be true and clear, innocent prosecution and investigation. So there is a thin line, especially when it has to do with politics, between saying that the president wants to investigate members of the PDP and members of the APC. There has to be a thin line. And the reason is because of perception. So if he calls people of members of APC for investigation and calls members of PDP for investigation and makes it public that these are people being investigated, especially when some of these news items are out there in public, it makes it clear that the same people who are in APC are also being investigated. That perception will help clear that feeling that it's vindictive or selective.
So far, does it look like it's selective?
I think it's like the senior advocate said, I think it's too early to call. Because except by way of the announcement that the present government has made that it is restricting its probe, and let me use that word probe in quotes, because actually what we should do is investigate. That is the appropriate terminology. That he's restricting it to the immediate past regime gives a clear indication, gives a clear pattern of probably being vindictive or being selective, because there are a lot of cases that go beyond the previous regime. We have the Halliburton case, we have the Marubeni Corporation case, where a Japanese company had to pay about $54 million fine, a penalty fine to the United States Criminal Justice Department for bribes that were given to Nigerian government officials between 1999 and 2004. These are issues that must be brought to the table so as to give that impression that it is not being selective.
All right.